We're talking about the new red and black swirl version of Destroyer by Kiss. Oh my god.
You are now watching Music the Lifeblood's Final Thursday.
Hey guys, this is Dustin for Music the Lifeblood. Welcome to Vinyl Thursday. No big fancy intro on this episode because we're talking about Kiss. And if you don't know who Kiss is, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You're doing life wrong. You need to reevaluate. It's a sad situation. Anyway, Universal Music has partnered with The Sound of Vinyl to release a very special edition of Destroyer, the Tour de Force album by the kabuki-clad 70s rock icons Kiss. And I just got my copy of it, so we're going to open this son of a bitch up. Alright, now before we crack this thing open, just a heads up, kind of give you guys a little bit of a rundown. This is coming from a company called The Sound of Vinyl. They've partnered with Universal Music. Universal are the ones that hold the Kiss catalog. They're the ones that control it, quote unquote, I guess. And they got with The Sound of Vinyl to create this special edition version of Destroyer. Everything I've read is telling me that it's limited to, I think, 3,000 copies. So just a heads up. Not the most exclusive, limited sort of thing, but a lot of the time with vinyl at a quote-unquote mainstream level, you may not get the real sort of really, really limited number of pressings that you would with a band that might be doing their own thing through a site like Bandcamp, something like that. So 3,000 isn't necessarily, I guess, rare, for lack of a better term, but base that on the wide array of Kiss fans and how many millions of people are in the actual Kiss army. So when you measure it by that, this could be considered, I guess, rare, depending on how many people bought it. So just food for thought. But if you don't know anything about the Sound of Vinyl, you might go check them out. They do this text service. And that's how I was able to get this. They'll send you a text that says, hey, do you like this? If you like it, you can type buy, send them a text, and then they'll route you to wherever you need to go to make the payment. So pretty interesting. So far, of all the texts I've received from it, I haven't gotten anything that's really surprised me. For the most part, I think it's, I don't want to say just commercial sort of mainstream stuff, but it's definitely a lot of sort of older standbys that I've seen. But at the same time, I've set my preferences to a lot of older metal, stuff like that. So haven't really seen anything that's really raised my eyebrows. I'd be surprised if they had, you know, a band like Midnight or Vanek or, you know, this sort of neo-thrash movement that's happening right now. But food for thought, I guess. If you guys haven't checked them out, go look at their website. It's, you know, they got some good stuff here and there. Now, before we jump too headlong into it, just heads up, this is the package that they sent it in. Now, it doesn't look like it's seen a bunch of, you know, rough and tumble sort of wear. It doesn't feel like it's been squished or bent or anything like that, but, you know, this isn't my favorite mailer to receive vinyl in. I definitely like the more boxy mailers. They tend to stay rigid. They can take a little more abuse. So I'm not 100% thrilled about this. So we'll open it up and we'll go from there. Hopefully they have some padding or some sort of buffer between the actual sides of this and the vinyl. So fingers crossed. Hopefully it's nothing too super duper gnarly. And like I said, this is the first time I've bought from these guys, so this is kind of, for me, I guess the measuring stick of whether I'll go with them again in the future. I was looking at their website. It looked like they were doing I saw a lot of classic rock stuff. There was a Hendrix album. I saw a Bob Dylan album, I think. There's a bunch of different stuff, but I don't know if reissues of classic stuff is your thing, they might be worth checking out. So that's good. There's they have it wrapped up. Just hit the camera. They have it, I guess, insulated, I suppose. Get rid of this. And just want to make sure that, not that I think the people that watch the show are bad people or anything, but I want to get rid of this outside package because it's got my address printed on it. And then there's our receipt. So a little bit about that text service I was talking about. Here's a little heads up to it. Thanks for shopping with Sound of Vinyl. We want you to love each and every experience you have with us. If there is a problem with your order, just reply to your daily text or text 73770 and let us know what happened. Include a picture if it's damaged. We'll be able to resolve the issue faster. So that's awesome. That's good to know. And with that, yeah, they've got a bunch of shipping info. So cool little heads up if something goes wrong sort of thing inside there. So that's cool to see that. Now, like I said, it came this in there. So this was kind of the buffer between the outside of the package. Would I like this to be a little bit thicker? Yes, I would. But the shipping wasn't too bad with it. I think it ended up being like $3 something as far as the actual shipping cost. So that's not too bad. I'm okay with that. But, if you're going to buy from them, just heads up. I'd hate for somebody to pick something up and expect something completely different. So, food for thought. All right. So there it is. There's a lot made about Destroyer. It's kind of Alive, their quote-unquote live album that came out directly before Destroyer. There's a lot that has a big, really, really significant spot in the history of the band. That was kind of the turning point where they were able to, become accessible from a mainstream standpoint. A lot of people bought that album. There's a lot of different versions of it out there floating around. And directly after that, Kiss released this album. They worked with Bob Ezrin. Bob Ezrin's the producer. He worked with Alice Cooper. He's worked with Pink Floyd. He was kind of really hot shit at that point in the 70s. And the interesting thing is, when you stand Destroyer next to the previous 3 studio albums, Dressed to Kill, Hotter Than Hell, and then the self-titled debut album, Destroyer is a completely different animal than what those first 3 albums were. And I think a lot of that had to do with Bob Ezrin, because he gets very involved from a writing standpoint with the bands that he's working with. And you can even see later on down the road, Kiss worked with Bob Ezrin again for the release of Music from the Elder. I think that was 81, I think. Unmasked came out in 80. I think The Elder is 1981. And then again in the early 90s, right after Hot in the Shade had concluded, they did the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, God Gave Rock and Roll to You. They worked with Bob Ezrin again, to kind of dip their toes into the water to see how Bob was doing at that point, because if you don't know, The Elder was a huge fucking mess. It was a commercial failure. If you can imagine Kiss doing a concept record about this sort of phantasmagorical council of the elders looking for this boy to change the the trajectory of the world at that point. So that's what The Elder was about. It's just they actually got with Lou Reed to co-write some of those songs. So if that tells you anything, not that the Velvet Underground are bad, but I sure as hell don't like the Velvet Underground, but I don't know. That's just me. Whatever. Anyway, they worked again with Bob after the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey venture to do the Revenge album. And Revenge is really good. I would compare it to Creatures of the Night. If you're not a Kiss fan, go check out Creatures of the Night. Revenge is right along those lines. So anyway, so I don't wax poetic on the history of Kiss for too long. Here's the cover. If you haven't seen that cover before, I'd be surprised. This is one of those sort of, it's weaved itself into the fabric of rock music culture and even Americana. Kiss is just like hot dogs and hamburgers and baseball. They are part of Americana in the most profound of ways. It's just fascinating the impact these guys had from a pop culture standpoint. And this was kind of one of the albums that sort of kicked that off. It's got the superhero theme, the artwork by Ken Kelly. If you don't know who Ken Kelly is, he's an illustrator. He did all kinds of shit with books about barbarians and Marvel Comics, and just he's done all kinds of stuff. He's a really good illustrator. He's super creative too. There's the back cover. Credits. Now, there's a Kiss vinyl collectors group that I'm in called Kiss My Wax. And if you don't know who Kiss My Wax is, they're the Kiss My ... guys. Kiss My Collectibles, Kiss My Bootlegs, Kiss My Wax. It's going to be Tom Shannon and a dude named Jason Herndon, and I've interviewed Tom a couple times here on Vinyl Thursday, so that's their Facebook group, quote unquote. And I was chatting back and forth in the group the other day, wondering about kind of where the jacket came from. Were these leftovers from the 2014 reissues that they did of the whole Kiss catalog? And it's looking like this was just a jacket that they had left over. They've repurposed for this release. And then on top of that too, you notice that there's a barcode and it's stuck on top of the shrink. So I don't know if this jacket would count as a unique pressing for this specific black and red swirl version of this, but just for the extreme Kiss collectors in the crowd, just heads up, it's looking like it's a repurposed jacket that we just had overstock of from the 2014. So food for thought, heads up. Anyway, let's open this thing up. Are you kidding me? There we go. Now, I thought it was an interesting first experience with the sound of vinyl. The fact that this didn't come with any kind of a hype sticker, and it doesn't sound like they did anything super unique as far as the insert inside of the actual sleeve, which is kind of a bummer because you want special editions to be unique unto whatever it is that you're buying. So there's the barcode. This is the one stickered over the back of the old barcode. So you can see what they did. And you can get the, just so you see it, the Universal Music logo. And you can see on that jacket, hopefully you guys can, I don't know if you can read it, but right there, copyright 2014, The Island Def Jam Music Group, address, blah, 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 all rights reserved. So you can see 2014, where we can confirm that this is a repurposed cover. But there is no hype sticker for it, but what I'll do is I'll end up cutting this out and I'll keep it with it. You guys know that I'm real particular about hype stickers, but I'll keep this with it just so I have it. In the event down the road, I might trade it off for something or who knows what. I want to make sure that I have the total package. Alright, so let's check out the inside of this. And just heads up, if you guys can see in there, I thought these jackets were from the 2014s. I thought they were nice. I was glad that they didn't skimp on the materials. The fold on the inside right there, if you guys can see it, where the flap folds over, that they glue it. Occasionally you'll run across sleeves that this is not as long as that is, and it doesn't give enough surface area for the glue to actually hold the sleeve together. So I thought it was nice. Not a totally amazing jacket like some of the Relapse or Hell's Headbanger stuff, or I don't know, but I mean, you can't drive a tank over it or anything like that, but it's more sturdy than some of the European stuff that I have. I have a best of the solo albums from '78. I think it's a German somewhere in Europe. The logo is the different Kiss logo on there, but the jacket and the actual LP itself is extremely thin. It's very flimsy. So inner sleeve. I always thought it was kind of weird that they just went with the Detroit Rock City lyrics on this inner sleeve. I mean, I get it. It's the lead-off song. There's the sort of mood thing of the kid that's washing the dishes, gets off work and starts driving to wherever he's going, and there's the car wreck between Detroit Rock City and King of the Nighttime World. But I don't know. I just always thought it was, I mean, it makes sense, but why not put all of the lyrics on the inner sleeve? I don't know. Whatever. And then there's the Kiss Army logo. Not a super duper fancy inner sleeve, but you know, when you compare the rest of the Kiss catalog, they did some really, really neat and innovative stuff. The farther they got into the catalog, you know, where they had inserted posters and stickers, gatefolds and things like that. And I think as far as like the total package goes, I think Alive 2 would probably be the high water mark for what they were doing as far as being creative with how they were packaging their stuff at that time. The Kiss Rocks Vegas, if you look at the grand toto of their entire career, the Kiss Rocks Vegas is a pretty sweet package too, which I did an opening video of that, I don't know, last year or year before, whatever the case is. So flip back in the queue and check it out. Anyway, inner sleeve. So let's check out the actual LP. So I was told red and black swirl. That's definitely what it is. Looks cool. And it's 180 gram too. It's heavy. It's got some weight to it. And I thought it was cool too. The 2014 reissues they did the, some people call them blue labels. I've heard them called Bogart labels, that sort of thing, but I just call it a blue label. That makes most sense to me. But I thought it was cool that they used the blue labels for all of the reissue, the 2014 stuff. There you go. Try to get you a good shot of the label. That silver type, the font they choose, the font they chose, and the silver ink over the top of that. I think it looks cool. It's a good combination, especially with this red and black. Kind of reminds me of the Hellraiser, the soundtrack to Hellraiser. I did a vinyl opening unpackaging video for it a while back. I thought that was really, really striking. When I pulled it out, I was just like, wow, this looks amazing. This is cool. This is super cool. This was kind of a good, I wanted to check out the sound of vinyl, how they were as far as a dealer and from a design standpoint, that sort of thing, the quality of it. So this was, I don't know, I'm not going to give them 5 stars because I don't think they made it, they didn't make it unique enough as far as a special edition of it. I think you need to go a little farther than just the actual LP itself. No hype sticker and nothing fancy with the jacket or anything like that. Which, by the way, if you are a fan of Destroyer, worth checking out too is the Destroyer Resurrected that Bob Ezrin put together. I think it's been like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I want to say somewhere in the vicinity of 2010 to 2012, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, Destroyer Resurrected, I thought it was really neat. Completely different mix of the original album. On top of, you get a booklet and you got an alternate cover, some linear notes, that sort of thing. And it sounds absolutely phenomenal. I actually prefer the Destroyer Resurrected mix to the original mix of this album. I just think it's way, way, way superior. I think Bob Ezrin had the advantage of hindsight from kind of living with the album for 35, 40 years at that point, whatever the hell it was. But if you have an opportunity, I would really go and I would really encourage you, go check out Destroyer Resurrected, because I think it is absolutely primo. It's a great, great release. I have a promo copy of it. It's got the barcode scratched out on the back. I might open it up sometime. We'll do an episode on it. So, here's one last look at the LP itself. Make sure there's no glare. Yeah, that swirl is super cool. I'm anxious to listen to it, see how it sounds. Which I'm guessing it's going to sound exactly like the 2014 reissues. But still, this is a fairly cool release. It's got its warts. I'm not 100% happy with it. But I think this was a good opportunity to sort of dip my toe in the water and see how the Sound of Vinyl did things. If it's a vendor I would want to go with down the road. So, I don't know. Pretty decent first experience with them. We'll see how it sounds. There you go, guys. Sound of Vinyl, Kiss Destroyer, Red and Black Swirl. Alright guys, that is it for this week's edition of Vinyl Thursday. Do you love Kiss? Do you love Destroyer? Are you sick of hearing Detroit Rock City? Kind of like I am. Is Great Expectations your most favorite Gene Simmons song that has ever been written? I like it, but it's probably not my favorite. Womp womp. Let us know in the comment section below. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to check out Music the Lifeblood on all of the social media bullshit. And then the Music the Lifeblood podcast. Soundcloud, Stitcher, iTunes, all those other places. So, that is it. Music the Lifeblood. Something old? Something new? What are you listening to?